Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. As always, I'm your host, Matt Tardio, and I want to give a special shout out to the channel's brand new forever sponsor, Bravo Energy Pouches. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. I actually have one in right now. You guys are going to love this freaking thing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a blue collar freaking worker in your family, you're going to love this crap. I promise you that right now. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about it. So, is the USA going to attack Iran? Absolutely. Yeah, it most certainly seems that way. So here's your latest updates that we have coming out of you. But what's more is they're even concerned about the uranium enrichment. Benjamin Netanyahu has came out and stated that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium whatsoever, and that their entire, and I mean their entire uranium enrichment needs to go away. It has to go away. They're not allowed to have the capability to enrich uranium, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. Well, those are two things just right off the bat that Iran's not going to agree with. So what does that mean? That means the United States is probably going to end up bombing the crap out of Iran. But the question really is whether or not the United States is going to be the first one to strike. If I was Iran and I was in Iran's position, I would be looking at it and saying, you know what? I think I'm going to get the crap bombed out of me. So I'm going to go ahead and bomb them first. Donald Trump also finally coming out with what I've been saying forever, and he didn't really state it, but in a roundabout way he did. Maybe it's not just about stopping their uranium enrichment. Maybe it's just not about capping off their ballistic missile program. No, maybe it's actually about a regime change.
Regime change in Iran? Well, it seems like that would be the best thing that could happen. For 47 years, they've been talking and talking and talking. In the meantime, we've lost a lot of lives while they talk, and legs blown off, arms blown off, faces blown off. It's been going on for a long time, so let's see what happens. In the meantime, we have tremendous power has arrived, and additional power, as you know, another carrier is going out shortly. So we'll see it out. If we could get it settled for once and for all, that would be good.
Who do you want to take over?
What?
Who would you want to take over?
I don't want to talk about that. There are people.
Oh, there you go. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. Like, regime change is the goal, has been the goal, always will be the goal. It had nothing to do with the Iranian people getting killed. Otherwise, they'd have bombed the crap out of them a long time ago. Had nothing to do with uranium enrichment. We know they're not going to come around to it, and they're going to continue to work on that scheme. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually about it. Now, just to fill you guys in on what the standards are, last week I played you guys some clips from RT, which I'm going to be referencing here in just a second, that actually showed from Iran's perspective and what Iran was saying on what the U.S. and Israel wanted Iran to do in order to get it down. But just over this weekend, Bibi actually came out with exactly what it was we were asking for.
But I said that if a deal is to be reached, it should have several components that we believe are important not only for the security of Israel, but for the security of the world. The United States, the region, the world. The first is that all enriched material has to leave Iran. The second is that there shall be no enrichment capability, not stopping the enrichment process, but dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place. And the third is to deal also with the questions of ballistic missiles. There's an MTCR limitation of 300 kilometers, and Iran is supposed to adhere to it. Of course it doesn't, as the Rising Lion operation by itself manifested. Everybody knows that. And the fourth is dismantle the axis of terror that Iran has built. It's been smashed, but it's still there. It's trying to recover, as Iran itself is trying to do. And the last thing is, you remember Ronald Reagan's dictum vis-a-vis the Soviet Union? Trust but verify. Distrust, and always verify. So there has to be real inspections, substantive inspections, no lead time inspections, but effective inspections.
Yeah, inspections for nuclear enrichment, uranium enrichment, etc. We know, but that's just never going to happen. I'm going to prove it to you here in just a little bit. Rafi Baresh coming in, giving out a Speak the Truth membership. Raf, is that you? Is that who I think it is that just gifted out a freaking Speak the Truth membership? Raf, If that's you, you bastard, how dare you sneak into there and just gift out a membership? You stop that. You stop that right now, man. But I appreciate the support that's going into it. Now, Netanyahu is not off his freaking, rocker when he ends up saying that we need to trust but verify. This guy that I have that I'm about to put up on your screen, he's the former head of Iran's nuclear energy program or anything. And I mean, I could play this entire clip for you. That's going to be in Farsi with the translations going across the bottom, but I don't think it's really worth it. But what is important, opponent, you know what? Maybe it is. The guy talks a little bit slow. So how about I speed it up for you? Because what the guy actually says as he goes into this video is he says that, and here he's talking about the 2015 Obama deal. And in that deal, what he says is what we agreed to. So he's going to start off talking about rods. And the important part about these rods is the agreement that we had with Iran, that they were basically going to destroy the rods that they had. And then I want you to listen to his answer. Iran's never about making a deal. They're never about being honest and straightforward. And I'm going to speed it up because the guy does talk a little slow. So we'll put it on 1.5.
گفتم خب این کالاندریایی که الان ساختید کالاندریا عین واقعا این میله ها جالب اینم میله داره یه سر داره یه عین اینا میله ها بهش چسبیده مثلا 100 خورده میله این میز این میشه کالاندریا تو این میله ها چیز سوخت میرفت میله های سوخت میرفت این میله ها مثلا 100 تا میله بود گفتن تو این میله ها ما یه کاری کنیم اول گفتن اینو نابودش کنید خوردش کنید گفتیم آقا این که درست نیست ما می‌خوایم نگرش کنیم بالاخره گفتن خب چیکار بکنیم گفتیم خب تو لوله ها سیمان می‌ریزیم.
So they're complaining about the rods. He said that they're going to pour cement in them. They were looking for a way in order to do it. He says they'll pour cement into the rods and get rid of them that way.
یعنی بتون می‌ریزیم توی این لوله ها. گفتم باش قبول نکن. گفتیم اگه بتون بریزیم که دیگه از بین نمیره این. اینو می‌ذاریم تو موزه گفتیم فردا یه موزه. خب ما لوله داشتیم یعنی اینو میتونستیم در بیاریم دوباره یه لوله.
Oh. So they took the rods out and they just put new ones in. That's what they did. That's what they did. But he takes it a step further beyond this. So we had a deal which was destroy your enrichment capability, which they destroyed the enrichment capability and then rebuilt it. And he goes on to say that this really isn't lying because they did exactly what they were told. Never mind the spirit behind it. Just do exactly as they were told, which was destroying it. Just keep going.
خب موقع دیگه اونو که نمیادیم میگیم ما چی داریم چی نداریم فلان داریم. آمریکایی‌ها وقتی که این فکت شیتی که دادن بیرون گفتن آقا ما تو کلندریای ریاکتور عراق بتون ریختیم و اینا مجبورن برن طراحی جدید رو انجام بدن. خب ما میگیم نمیتونستیم حرف بزنیم میگه استخوان در چی میگیم خدایا من ما دروغ نگفتیم واقعا دروغ نگفتیم. بله برخی چیز اطلاعات رو اضافه ندادیم. اگر من لوله اضافه داشتم نیومدم بگم من گفتم آقا این لوله هایی که تو این کالندریاست من سیمان میریزم اما دیگه نیومدم پیش بگم آقا من اینقدرم باز لوله دارم خب که چی.
Oh, forgot to tell him we have all these other tubes. So yeah, you can come in and pour cement in there, not a problem. You just didn't tell me I had the other tubes and we're going to replace them. But wait, there's more.
بی‌معنی میشه که اینو نه دروغ گفتیم نه چیزی. اینجا راجع به فلز اورانیوم ما گفتیم تا 15 سال تحقیق می‌کنیم.
They said they weren't going to do it for 15 years. 15 years. They said they weren't going to research on it. Gets better.
ما واقعا تحقیق نکردیم. اما به دوستان گفتم برید روی فلز مشابه اورانیوم. فلز مشابه اورانیوم.
So he tells everybody in the uranium enrichment program, go work on metals similar to uranium. We're not going to actually try to enrich uranium. We'll just do metals similar to uranium.
که پودره مثلا زیرکونیوم مثل تنگستن حالا اونایی که واردن شما ببینید فرایند تبدیل پودر به فلز چگونه است. اونی که نزدیکترینه به اورانیوم اونم روش کار بکنیم که این کار کردن موفق شدن و ما دیگه کارخونه‌اش رو ساختیم و گذاشتیم بیرون اصلا کاری.
Oh. So they figured it out and then built another factory. Just throwing that on there. They just didn't put uranium in it, allegedly.
نداشتیم ولی با اورانیوم کاری نداشتیم. وقتی که قانون مجلس گفت برید فلز اورانیوم تولید کنید ما رفتیم اون تجهیزاتی که ساخته بودیم آوردیم نصب کردیم در اصفهان. وقتی که نمایندگان آژانس اومدن بازرسایی دادن تجهیزات ولی نتونستن چیزی بگن نتونستن خورده بگیرن چون که تریس اورانیوم توش نبود. اگرم میپرسیدن بگم خب به شما چه ربطی داره یعنی ما اگر قول دادیم مثلا پودر اورانیوم فلز نکنیم همین قولم دادیم که مثلا هیچ پودری رو فلز نکنیم.
This is why nobody trusts Iran. This is why Bibi doesn't. This is why Donald Trump doesn't. This is why they had came out and said, yeah, no, I mean, this is legitimately like, you just don't trust Iran. I mean, I can't say that clear enough. I don't think anybody in the right mind sits back and goes, well, you know, they're good people. Maybe we ought to listen to what they say. Maybe we should avoid war. No, because they make like double-tongued deals. They're two-faced about it, and then they turn around, they just do whatever the hell they want anyways. And they're stonewalling the IAEA as we speak. Jay Don coming in gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Daryl Syke in the house gifting one out as well, with Phantom Shaman joining in on the party, gifting out another one. Thank you guys very, very much as we go through this. And Ralph, yeah, it looks like you've been a member for an entire month, buddy. What the heck, dude? Where the heck does that come from? Now, meanwhile, and this is my favorite. People left this part out, and I can't stop doing this. This is Iran today launching a massive naval exercise, and this is their Iranian state TV beat bullcrap propaganda video about them doing it. And this naval exercise is taking place over inside of the Strait of Hormuz. And they've got dozens of ships now that are out cruising around the water. Now, why is that important? Besides the fact that last week they tried to board two separate naval vessels that are operating over in the Strait of Hormuz, one being a U.S. flagged vessel. Why would this be important? Because Iran, for the longest time, has been threatening to shut off the strait, saying that they are going to close it down and not allow any more, like traffic or anything like that to be going through there. So, yeah, target practice for the United States, sure. However, Iran's now out there in heavy, like they're trying to provoke, but at the same time, in my opinion, they're also positioning themselves, right, in order to shut off the strait from commercial traffic. Iran's out there doing crazy IRGC things, blasting crap in the middle of the frickin' water. How many commercial vessels do you think are going to travel through there? Just the threat of everything that's going on right now is probably going to close off a lot of different traffic because of where these retards are at and what they're doing. And it can escalate in a heartbeat, right, with what they're doing out there. And if they make the announcement, they're going to shut off the strait, that's going to open it right up. And why would they announce that they're going to shut off a strait? Well, because the U.S. has been seizing additional freaking tankers. When I originally saw the reports yesterday of the oil tankers that had been seized, it was said that they were Russian Shadow Fleet tankers, but wait until you see what I'm about to show you.
President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu agreed this week to step up pressure on Iran by targeting its oil exports to China, which buy more than 80% of Iran's oil. The move is part of a broader maximum pressure campaign designed to cut off revenue and force Iran to make concessions, even as diplomacy continues amid renewed talks and military posturing in the region. Robert, how do you see all of this playing out?
I think Iran, many possible futures, but I think Iran is in deep trouble. At home, hundreds of thousands have poured out around the world. Hundreds of thousands are pouring out in defense of people's basic liberties. That is a country that just a couple of weeks ago killed more than 7,000 of its own people in order.
Yeah, I don't think we need to listen to the propaganda portion of it. The important part is that it's going to be we're going to be targeting those ships specifically in the region. Incog Faraday coming in, giving out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you very much, sir. And as I stated last week, we had waited for these vessels to kind of get over into that region. This new ship that the U.S. ended up taking on Sunday, this oil tanker, all right? And there's really cool, badass videos that end up coming out from not SOCOM, but CENTCOM that ended up releasing of the operation and stuff. And we'll take a look at them here. But they ended up going after another ship in the Indian Ocean, all right, after tracking it from the Caribbean. Venezuela had faced U.S. sanctions for oil, is what they're saying. Now, here's the interesting part when you get all the way down to the bottom, when we actually go down there, blah, 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 blah. They actually talk and they say that the reason we ended up seizing this tanker wasn't just because, I want to make sure I'm down here, wasn't just because, oh, I know the proper way to do this for you. There you go. Since 2003, she's been involved with Russian, Iranian, and Venezuelan oil. That would be the Veronica 3. It left Venezuela on January 3rd, the same day that we ended up going after Maduro, ripping his butt out. And then we just continued to let it to float all the way across until it ran into U.S. forces, and then we ended up grabbing that sucker. Now, again, the interesting part, right, is the Russian, Iranian, and Venezuelan oil. Right? It's bringing up Russia for a reason because of the connection between Russia and Iran and how big of a deal that is and why Russia is sending off nuclear subs. You continue to see as this chain progresses more and more that I really do not believe that this is about Iran. I thoroughly believe that this is about the U.S. trying to cut a deal with Russia that we're never going to get to because, Putin's freaking nuts. Like, the man's absolutely insane. We're not going to have a deal with Russia. We're going to continue to go over and board these suckers and put economical constraints on him. And it's going to be the same thing over and over and over. We're just going to continue to go after and push these constraints on Russia, targeting these tankers, taking Iran out, pushing that regime change that Trump wanted. And that's going to take that global stage and push it a little bit further and be putting more pressure on Russia to hopefully come down to a deal with Russia in Ukraine. How do you open the eyes of a TDS stage 5 relative? You don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to tell you that. You don't, you know? One of my favorite things that I got told was never argue with somebody. Like, just don't waste your time with somebody that says you will never convince me that, or you will never convince me of, because at that point, their mind has been made up. And there is absolutely no reason for us to like sit there and try to grind away with them as if it's somehow going to, I don't know, make some bit of difference. I mean, they're just going to continue to be freaking nuts. I mean, just leave them alone. Don't get into it, man. I mean, don't. But I'll tell you what, though. I mean, if you really want to have a good argument, you want to get your mind sharp, I would suggest you guys get your butts over and get you guys some Bravo Energy pouches. All right. These are legit energy pouches. I actually have one in right now. When I first got these suckers in the mail, I took them out and I tried them in. You get 20 pouches per can, and each pouch contains 50 milligrams of caffeine. Now, as they say, it's not about, you know, the what you're putting into your system, but the method in which it goes in, right? Which is why they talk about that for nicotine, why they talk about that for a lot of things. Well, this is caffeine, pure natural caffeine, and everything that's inside of here is also coming out of food grade ingredients. So you're not getting anything inside of here that's not food grade. And oh, by the way, not only is it food grade on the side of the can, it also lets you know it's made here in the United States of America. So you don't have to worry about getting food grade crap from like some other country or alleged food grade. And my favorite part about it is that we do have a promo code for truth. You just go over there, you get your order, and you put in truth, TRUTH, and it's going to get you 10% off. So you got truth for 10 over there. No, it's better than coffee. This isn't coffee. This is better than coffee. Coffee, you drink it, it goes in through your bloodstream. You know, it takes time to get in there. It works through your system and all that other stuff. This is totally different, man. Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to do you guys a favor. I think this is going to be the next big thing. That's why they are like coming on as the permanent sponsor. Like, these dudes are going to take this crap to the next level. I had one in my mouth before, like yesterday morning, I woke up, wanted to go to the gym, and I put one in my mouth on my way to go over to the gym. And as I was on my way to the gym, I was like, ooh, this is hitting. Like, it hits. And then by the time I reached my first set, I was going so freaking hard. I was like, my heart might explode. I need to take this out. Because it says 50 milligrams per pouch, I want you to understand that that is caffeine that is going directly into your bloodstream. It's not going down and getting tore apart by your stomach acids or anything else. It's literally going straight into your dang bloodstream. It's freaking wild. Like, if you guys actually want good caffeine with good, long, strong energy that's going to be going out, I highly suggest you guys over there, get on over. It's bravoenergypouches.com. Code truth for 10% off. You guys are going to freaking love it. I promise you that much. A lot of you guys are laughing, but I'm like, ladies, if you have a man that's working blue collar jobs, things like that, law enforcement, I don't care if they're over raiding freaking ships in the middle of the ocean, you know what I mean? And they throw one of these things in, I promise you it is going to like pop it up there. I promise you. This is, you're going to love this. I love it. I'm a believer. I'm sold on this to the point where I'm like, I don't care anybody else that wants to advertise. I'm going to stick with these guys because this is great. Like, it really is. It's that good. Like, I'm sold. Like, I'm beyond sold. So get after it, man. I'm telling you. But yeah, here's some photographs that ended up getting released about the United States government going over and just stomping on, the vessels, going over to the oil tankers, raiding them, everything else, and taking care of it. So there you've got that. Now, let's move on a little bit. Marco Rubio ended up coming out and having his own statements on making a deal with Iran and why it's a pain in the butt, which I don't even know if it even matters at this point. It was just a clip that I grabbed from Marco Rubio to give you guys an idea of kind of what it looks like and where it's going.
First question about Iran. Look, doing a deal with Iran is not easy. I said it yesterday, I'll repeat it again today. I mean, we have to understand that Iran ultimately is governed, and its decisions are governed by Shia clerics, radical Shia clerics, okay? These people make policy decisions on the basis of pure theology. That's how they make their decisions. So it's hard to do a deal with Iran. We've always said it's hard, but we're going to try. First question about Iran. Look, doing a deal with Iran is not easy.
That's all you really need to say is doing a deal with Iran is not easy, but in reality, what you ought to say is doing a deal with Iran is retarded. Nobody should be trying to cut a deal with Iran. They've flat out said how they've worked around and lied to us before. Just let it frickin' go. Stop trying to cut deals with Iran because it doesn't work. Incog Faraday coming in, gifting out $20. He says, 1,500 here and only 266 likes. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, smash the freaking like button because that's going to help the channel out a lot. And don't forget to share. Don't forget to tell your friends. Drag your neighbors in on the party as we sit here. I know you guys are habitual watchers, but do me a favor. Let's get some more habitual watchers and get some more people in here that know exactly what it is that we are doing and trying to do over here. All right. Now, Iran's foreign minister met with the IAEA chief ahead of nuclear talks, which, by the way, Iran it has turned down the ballistic missiles, the portion of the ballistic missiles. They will not limit themselves to 300 kilometers, which means we're going to bomb the crap out of them. I just want to throw that out there before I even bother getting into this. But this article by Reuters actually goes in and talks, but it also says how big of a pain in the butt it's been for the IAEA just to get into Iran to govern anything they've been doing. It's just a huge issue for them. So why Iran's mating up with the IAEA is beyond me, because the IAEA has been complaining about the regime and not letting them in to do what they need to do. It's absolutely nuts. So why we're sitting here pretending like any of this is going to go through? Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, they have a stockpile. U.S. is trying to figure out what happened to the over 450 kilograms of enriched uranium. Well, not just the U.S., the UN. But we want to know how much enriched uranium out of the 450 some odd kilograms that Iran had, do they still have? Are they just trying to dig powder out of the ground and work it that way? Or do they actually have stockpiles? And that's where Iran has been stonewalling the IAEA. So why they're even bothering going in and meeting up with them is beyond me, because the standard, and you guys heard it from Netanyahu, is set so high, which is zero enrichment. Zero. And that is the same thing I've been trying to tell you guys for a while. There was rumors that the U.S. was trying to ask them to cap it off at 1.5%. It's not true. Those were demands that were coming from the different Middle Eastern countries like Qatar, Turkey, the UAE, because they didn't want us to go to war with Iran because it'd probably hurt their pocketbook. But the standard has been 0% and always will be 0%, which means Iran is not going to give into that either. So now we have 2 out of 4 things that we've been asking for that they're not going to stop doing. And they will not even bring up refusing to fund foreign terror organizations. They won't even discuss it. So you can pretty much count 3 out of the 4 things. And the only thing they're really willing to discuss is reduction in uranium enrichment, because they know they can just continue to lie. And you guys heard Trump earlier. He's not going to take it. He's going to continue to bomb the freaking piss out of them. And it's going to happen. We're moving another strike carrier over into the region. It should be there in just a couple days. Satellite image has confirmed the U.S. aircraft carrier, the Lincoln, 150 miles off the coast of Oman. They have geolocated it, spotted it, it's there, it's pulled out slightly out of the area. Let me open up Google Maps real quick and show you guys something. Because I think it is important. Remember how we talked about having a oil blockade, or a blockade, I guess, on all the sanctioned Iranian ships? They say it's sitting about 150 miles off of Oman. So if I was to go over here, and we'll just pick a random peak, we'll go right here in the middle, and I'm going to draw a line straight out, measure distance. Let's go to here, and let's stretch this baby out to about, I screwed that up. Hold on, let me clear that. All right, so here's Oman. And we're going to go all the way here to the center. You got Oman right here. You got Iran. And then you got the Gulf of Oman that leads in the Persian Gulf. All of Iran's major ports are sitting down in this area. And they said it's about 150 miles off the coast of Oman. So if we take that and we go measure distance, point A to point B, there we're at 89 miles. Let's keep stretching out to 150. I want you to take a look at that. If you were to go with 150 miles off the coast, that is pretty much smack dab right dead in the center of the passageway of the Gulf of Oman leading out of Iran. They would be sitting there right on the freaking international, like if you were to take this international borderline of Iran as it comes out, like that U.S. strike carrier and the strike carrier group, along with all of our other ships, are positioned perfectly to intercept anything coming out of that area. So I think that we already have that blockade set, and I don't think we're going to be allowing anything to go out. And at the same time now, remember how I told you we have Iran that launched its naval crap over here in the Strait. So we're already got the stage set for anything that's bound to come, right? But that doesn't even bring up movements of more F-35s that are pouring into the region. We have more KC-135 refueling tankers and more F-35s that are pouring into there. So our strike package is continuing to grow. It's funny because I heard a video earlier of an Air Force officer that was speaking, and she was complaining that people over on X, their entire lives are tracking military flights and compiling all the data and blasting it out. Basically saying that because of this, it makes it really hard to maintain OPSEC for what they're doing or any sort of sneak. So they're just moving up in there, which is absolutely freaking wild to me. So, yeah, they're complaining about it, but here's all your refueling tankers and your F-35s. And by the way, in addition, Israel also just announced that they have upgraded their F-35s. I believe I read this correct this morning, that Israel has upgraded its F-35s for longer range so that they're not dependent on the U.S. when it goes down to refueling for striking Iran. They said that they were capable of doing that without the need to upgrade it, or I'm sorry, they were able to do that without having to compromise on the stealth features of the F-35. There we go. Now we got it. So they added additional range that allows them to strike Iran. They've got all of that. The U.S. is moving in new refueling tankers. I also read and was looking over this morning that the U.S., rumored to be, is looking around and trying to say, well, you know what? Maybe we won't lead this strike initially. Maybe we'll just look at how we can support Israel. Maybe we'll just use our refuelers. Maybe we'll just, provide some support, et cetera, into the region for this strike. But if that was the case, I really don't think that the U.S. would have sent that second strike carrier group over there. And it's definitely on its freaking way. And it is the Gerald R. Ford, right? That is like moving up over into that area. So
this time in Geneva, Trump has dispatched a second aircraft carrier to the region, the USS Gerald R. Ford.
In case we don't make a deal, we'll need it. If we don't have a deal, we'll need it.
Leading Trump's delegation in Munich, Secretary...
Nope, don't care. That wasn't the important part. The important part is what Trump just said. They dispatched this sucker from the Caribbean. They ended up extending its deployment. So now this sucker isn't scheduled to return home till maybe May or June. All right. And it's maybe, they don't know, because the other aircraft carrier that they wanted to send isn't going to be ready in time. So instead, they're sending the Gerald R. Ford and they're extending it out. And you just heard what he said. Maybe we won't need it unless we can't strike a deal. Well, we can't strike a deal. Iran's made that perfectly clear. There will be no deal struck. Not on uranium enrichment, not on limiting ballistic missile capability, and they won't even open up the door to talk about funding for terror organizations and several other places. That was on Friday. And then over the weekend, we ended up getting the conversation from Trump talking about regime change, which is what I've been telling you guys all along. The U.S. does not want to deal. And for those of you that are just now showing up, maybe I ought to play that clip again.
Regime change in Iran?
Well, it seems like that would be the best thing that could happen. For 47 years, they've been talking and talking and talking. In the meantime, we've lost a lot of lives while they talk, and legs blown off, arms blown off, faces blown off. It's been going on for a long time. So let's see what happens. In the meantime, we have tremendous power has arrived, and additional power, as you know, another carrier is going out shortly. So we'll see it out. If we could get it settled for once and for all, that would be good.
What? Regime change, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming. Whether or not Iran realizes it, whether or not they want it to happen, it's just a fact. Now, at the same time, the U.S. has deployed over in the region 1/3. That is up to 33%. Remember how I told you guys outside of Venezuela before the strikes happened? And I said, you don't move that much of your force. It was 30 to 40%. You don't move 30 to 40% of your naval assets outside of a country unless you intend on doing something. And that was outside Venezuela. Well, now we have about 35% of our naval assets that are dedicated to this Iran mission. History is about to repeat itself. Only this time, we're not going in and we're not ripping out a dictator. And I'll have you guys know that dropping a bomb on the Ayatollah isn't going to cause a regime change either. That dropping a couple bombs and killing all of their leadership isn't going to do that. Israel proved that last time. Israel took out like the entire chain of command, like the entire upper echelon of the IRGC like 3 times over. Nothing changed because they're still getting their directives. They're still getting their fatwas, all right, from the frickin' Ayatollah, which is having them do all that crap. So we are sitting here waiting on this. And as soon as our forces get into position, and again, I would be shocked because if I can sit here and I can tell you that we've got 35% of our frickin' naval assets committed to the area, like deployable naval assets, ones that are on their way, like we got 35% committed to Iran, almost the exact same package, plus way more aircraft. I want you to, like, the amount of aircraft we have stacked up in that region is insane. With all of that firepower, we're not going to do anything. No, my fear is that Iran sees this buildup and that they know they have to strike early. And if I was Iran and I'm sitting on the other side of this, I would strike early. And I'm not saying that I support Iran. I'm not saying any of that garbage. So don't put that in my mouth. I'm just saying from a logical perspective, they just went public and stated, we're not dealing with the ballistic missiles. Last week, when they sent that letter with the foreign minister over into Oman that said the ball is now in your court, nothing has changed. And we've got this package rolling in there and they know it's coming. So my bet would be that they're going to start striking U.S. forces in the region in the very near future. If somehow this thing makes it beyond a week, I would be freaking shocked, to be quite frank at this point. C. Wooly 89 coming and giving us Speak the Truth membership. Thank you very much, sir. Greatly appreciate it. Now, with all of that being said, I've talked to you guys about how Russia and Iran are tied, along with China. And things, as far as I know, have been fairly, well, I wouldn't say fairly quiet. There's still a lot of fighting and dying going on over inside of Ukraine, but the large-scale attacks that we were seeing that were happening over inside of Russia for a period of time kind of dwindled off for a little bit, right? Look at this. Yeah, I got to play that for you guys again because it's very, very significant as far as I'm concerned. Like very, very significant when you start taking a look at the size of that explosion. Who wants to guess what that is? Up on the screen. Who wants to guess what that is? Anybody? Anybody at all? You're looking at an ammunition depot. A very, very large one. Allegedly, one of the largest ones inside of Russia. It's about 70 kilometers northeast of Moscow. There's also a bunch of secondary detonations and all that other crap going off. This is going down right before we're scheduled to strike Iran. To me, that is a huge message to Putin. I'm not saying that U.S. intelligence carried this out. I would definitely attribute this, however this ended up going down. I haven't had enough time to look into it yet. I definitely attribute this to Ukrainian intel assets that are on the ground over there. However, it doesn't mean they weren't working in conjunction with the United States of America and saying, well, hold off for a minute. Because the IAEA was needed to go in for the uranium. If we had a deal with Iran, and that deal was going to be to remove all of that uranium, we were going to be using Russia to pull that freaking uranium out and to get rid of it. Now, Iran has come out publicly stating they're not going along with it. The U.S. has, thrown 35% of our naval forces over into the area. And all of a sudden, rumored to be the largest munitions depot over in Moscow gets blown up. Remember how I tried telling you guys that that part of the Iran deal is also part of the negotiations with, Ukraine and Russia. To me, when I see a significant operation of something like this going down, not that we don't see these things getting blown up throughout the war, but it's the timing of it that makes it so significant. The fact that it's right outside of Moscow, the fact that it's rumored to be the largest one that they have, and that sucker is getting destroyed. We're not relying on having Russia going in and ripping out uranium and taking it back into Russia. If we're allowing Ukraine to do this and helping Ukraine to do this, you better believe that we don't give two freaking craps anymore and that the party is going to be going down. Now, here's the other thing. That also means, in my opinion, that Russia is going to be feeling that squeeze. And so the question is then going to become, what's Russia going to do? Are they going to start acting out? Who the hell knows? I want to bring this up as well.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is this is, of course, a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point, and we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Would and should.
Why did I play that video? Because AOC is an idiot and I just love to hear her stumble and it's funny to me. And I figured why not play a video of AOC stumbling and just doing dumb stuff because it just makes me feel good and why not? And then probably the last thing before, going over to the Discord and having a chat with you guys, which I'm going to go ahead and open up the Discord real quick and allow you guys to start jumping in there so that we can start having a chitty chat this morning. Ramadan starts February 17th or 18th. Don't you think that this will affect the timing of the strike of Iran? No. As a matter of fact, I think it's like the perfect time for us to do it. Well, I'll tell you what. I actually was unaware that Ramadan. Let me check on that. That's actually a very valid question. When does Ramadan start? 2026. Yep. Evening of February 17th. Starts tomorrow night. Ramadan starts tomorrow evening. How did I miss that in my entire analysis? It is very possible that we strike February 17th, the evening of, or Iran strikes that evening. Woo, for those of you that do not know, Ramadan, during the time of Ramadan, if you are dying for jihad, if you are dying to advance the religious cause, you get even bigger and greater rewards in heaven. So people do the craziest stuff during Ramadan. I've seen a dude with an AK all by himself standing in the middle of the field and blasting at up-armored trucks, trying to get himself killed during Ramadan so he can go up to heaven and get like 5,000 virgins or whatever it is that they're promised. So given the fact that that's starting tomorrow night, I would think that there is a very high possibility that Iran is probably waiting for that to happen. When you start taking in like the radical ideology that these people have, I would think that, yes, absolutely, that is a very real possibility that that's what we are waiting on. for that to happen. So, I mean, I'm not putting anything past anyone. I think it's very logical. I think it's very reasonable for them to be doing that. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. If you guys are over in the Discord, just drop me a message and let me know that you guys can hear me. If not, I will do my best to get that fixed, but I believe you guys should be able to hear me. So that's good. All right. All right, let me go on with this last portion of it. But yeah, Ramadan, if that's happening, that's a bit of a problem. All right, so now that we zoom in and we take a look over here, Doctors Without Borders says gunmen are using a Gaza hospital. Finally, after years and years and years of all of the mis and disinformation that was coming out of Gaza, they finally have it. That Doctors Without Borders finally admits Hamas is inside the dang hospitals. Not that we haven't seen footage of it, not that we didn't know it, but finally they come out. Finally, they admit it. And these are the same idiots that have been pushing, this freaking narrative and campaign for the longest time that they weren't doing that, and that Hamas wasn't in the hospital, and just whatever. I believe some of the same doctors from this organization were also the ones that put out the false information about children being shot in the head, where I had to sit there and take these photos and explain ballistics theory to people and the amount of damage and kinetic energy that a 5.56 has at 500 meters would still blow clean through a child's skull. For those of you that don't know, your standard NATO 5.56 fired out of a freaking M14 has the same amount of kinetic energy as a 9mm fired at point blank range. That's taking a pistol and putting it up to a head. So for these bullets to be lodged in little heads means that they have to be ricochets, but the fact is they weren't ricocheted off anything. You could tell because they weren't deformed. And you could also look at the trajectory and angle of them. Nothing pissed me off more than reading that crap of doctors going, no, 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 no. Okay, so I'm being told that the Discord audio is not in there. Perfect. So what I have to do in the Discord is I have to disconnect myself and then reconnect myself for whatever reason. Oh, stop it. Disconnect myself and then reconnect myself. That way I get back in there. Oh, geez. I don't know why it does that. And hopefully you guys can now hear me up in there. If not, I'll need a mod to jump in the Discord so I can back out and reconnect. It's a weird glitch that's inside Discord. No, downloading the app doesn't make it any better. Stuff Squash says, can you look into the secret weapon that the U.S. used on Venezuela, the one that is called the discombobulator? Trump announced it on Fox News a week ago. I'm going to go with false and or misinformation. That's what I'm going to say. If you guys are over in Discord and you guys want to come up and have a chitty chat, you guys want to talk about this stuff, tell me your thoughts, feelings, opinions, etc. By all means, jump up over. You guys head over to Discord. I got it opened up right now. You guys are more than welcome to jump up. Texas, I have a feeling you are in here because you're going to tell me, Matt, you dumbass, you put the old strike in reference to today. Tell me, go.
Hey. No, I'll just tell you that the audio is good. And I sent you a video. If that video is the same you played, then that's the one from today.
Okay, that's what I thought. I see people that are trying to tell me it's from a year ago, and I'm like, I don't believe so.
No.
That's the one from today,
this
right?
Was a drone strike. Yeah, it was, yesterday.
Yeah.
This morning. Yeah. So it was I guess it was a drone and missile strike, but this is a secondary detonation that cooks off. And you can see the colors, so we're both going to guess what was in there. Like, the color is very, very telling what was in that storage.
The bright red?
Orange, bright red, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a reason that ended up getting schwacked. All right, so it makes me wonder whether or not that they, you know how I've said for the longest time that I would suspect that Russia is going to step things up after Iran ends up falling because they're going to be cut off. It's like it's going to hurt them. So I would think that Russia might resort to more, how do you want to say, illegal activities on the front line after that.
Well, I don't know. To be fair, I think that this strike was another live demonstration for the guys in Munich. You had Marco Rubio there. You had obviously other talks and this was basically, again, Zelensky was there. Zelensky was talking. This viral video that went out a couple of hours before that, where Zelensky said, "Oh, I'll offer Putin a ceasefire if he offers to hold an election in Russia." And then a few hours later, you have something this big. Again, Zelensky was in a very good mood. There was a lot of good things that came out. Europe approved a $90 billion loan to Ukraine. Ukraine is utilizing a majority of that loan to acquire Swedish Griffin jets.
Nice.
All of these things came out within the hours of something this big. And again, like, people are sleeping on what's going on in Ukraine, but if you are, just remember that, like, the last 3 weeks, Ukraine has pushed the Russians in the southern front pretty far back.
Right.
We're talking more ground in the last 3 weeks in some areas than it took the Russians to take more than 3 to 4 months. So basically, like, they made progress 3 months and they lost it in less than 3 weeks. I don't know. I guess it's just. I don't know. People are sleeping. People are slowly forgetting it, and Ukraine is utilizing that. Like, Ukraine is really, really utilizing that. I don't know if you saw the article that came out this week. There was a NATO exercise where American and I think it was Danish troops, were 2 battalions were doing an armored vehicle assault exercise, and one Ukrainian 10-man team took out and disabled 2 whole battalions of NATO by drones.
Yeah.
Obviously in a simulated exercise.
It's a simulated exercise, but they have people that are there verify, call it.
Yeah,
like, you've got
100%,
people on both sides. Like, so you've got observer controllers that are watching these different movements, and they're like, "Yeah, they got you guys. Like, you're dead."
Yeah, they'll be like, "This whole vehicle column is dead. You guys can't play like, oh,
you guys just got schwacked." Like, done.
So I think that, like, you have people in the higher positions that aren't political positions. Like, they are, obviously everything is political if you're government related, but, like, these people are more like tactical positions versus political positions, are realizing certain things, and these things are taking effect on, like, you see that the first foreign export contract of a Ukrainian manufacturer that makes drones was just issued. So the first license to export during martial law of a Ukrainian product that is military related was just approved by the president's office. Then this will be obviously with a NATO country. They haven't announced, they didn't say anything, but I'm assuming it's going to be NATO and it's going to be all of them. But all of these things, like, it just shows. And again, Marco Rubio said it this week also. He said, look, you guys can say we're pro-Russia, we're this, we're helping Russia, we're not helping Ukraine. In the end of the day, America is still providing weapon systems to Ukraine. Who's paying for it? That's, you can argue that in a different subject, but the systems are still showing up. The rounds are still showing up. Maybe not as much as Ukraine would like to, but they're still showing up.
Yeah.
America sanctioned Russia. Like he said, we didn't sanction Ukraine, just the opposite. We opened free trade with Ukraine. We didn't sanction, like, we're providing aid to Ukraine. We're not helping Russia. And then you have these things like Starlink, where like, when that other company, a week before the whole Starlink thing happened, this whole news article broke about this, I forgot the name of the company, another company that makes, like, network routers and modems and stuff like that, that is openly selling to Russia through their proxy sellers.
Yeah.
And there was, like, a whole investigation that some journalists did, and they exposed that publicly. And then a week later, you have Elon Musk announcing that he's working directly with the new Minister of Defense of Ukraine to shut down Starlink. I thought it was going to be a whole rumor, but within a week, every Starlink in Ukraine shut down, including the Ukrainian ones. You can turn it back on by going to a physical place and registering it that it is a Starlink with a member of either the military or the public, but you have to prove that you're Ukrainian. And then they'll put it in a database, and then it'll turn back on, but they shut it down. So doing something like that, you see that slow drifting relationship that the U.S. had with Ukraine, that people were like, oh, it's over, and it's like the United States is not involved. They're just trying to help Russia win. I think people are, again, jumping to conclusions that a lot of things are just happening in a way that you don't see them.
Well, it's things are happening not only in a way that they don't see them, but they also don't understand. Like that, there is trying to make a deal with Putin, which is never going to happen, right? Like he's not going to give up a freaking inch of terrain and an inch of ground, and there's no guarantee. You know, like talking about it, you know, making a deal with Putin is about the same scale as trying to make a deal with Iran. Putin saying, fine, we'll stay here, we're not going to attack again, is only going to last so long. Iran saying, fine, we won't enrich uranium, is only going to last so long. And really what we're watching happening right now from the ground up is a systematic dismantlement of the support networks for Russia and for China, right? And the only one outside of Russia next, you know, I think for us to go after is going to be China. I would think that economically we would go after them versus, you know, anything else. Because Marco Rubio brought up China as well just the other day, trying to say that we need to have trade with them. So it sounds like he's starting to prep the battle space.
Well, that's what I was going to say, though. But because China is like slowly drifting with Russia now away, because like China has the friction of their border. So China is slowly taking over a very large region of Russia's far unoccupied area in the Arctic over there. So China's slowly like stepping on Russia's toes, but right now obviously Russia's utilizing China to purchase a lot of dual use, let's just go with dual use equipment that they then utilize in the war. But then you have this thing again this week. Chinese foreign minister had a meeting with Zelensky, and China just gave a massive amount of aid to Ukraine, not military aid, but they gave like generators and like power station units and like a lot of stuff that has to do with infrastructure stuff that China just gave. So like it's almost like China is realizing what's happening with Russia and Iran. And they're like, you know what, we'll just let them still, like, they'll take advantage of it. They'll still make the money that they're making but I think China is not attached to Russia or to anybody at that matter. I think China is a very they look out for themselves, and they have he has like a very like patient plan that he still wants Taiwan, and he wants to be able to do that, but he doesn't want a war right now. He wants it when he is ready to do it. So that's why I think he's going to slowly drift away from Russia and be like, yeah, we can do trade with the US. Yeah, we can be friends with the West. And I don't know.
Well, I think what it is, like, honestly, I think what it is you have China that just lost a lot of revenue because we took out Maduro, and they had a lot staked in Maduro by the way of oil. So they lent Maduro a buttload of money, and the IRGC has been paying it back to them via oil for dirt cheap. And the Chinese economy is like really thin, and they've just been printing yen, trying to outprice the US on a lot of different things to kind of corner the market. And it's caused a lot of inflation over there. They got a lot of issues over inside China. And so by us doing that within itself put a huge squeeze on China. And if we are threatening more like economic sanctions against them or whatever, maybe there's another dictator somewhere that we've got under our freaking thumb other than, the Ayatollah. But that could also put that on there. And so if that's the case, man, if you are starting to notice that China is starting to drift away from Russia and back over to Ukraine, that's a good sign. That's a sign that what we've been talking about is actually true and actually working. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't say they're drifting to Ukraine. I would just say that they are slowly going to a position where yeah, we're friends with Russia economically, but we're no way, shape, or form best friends. It's almost like when Venezuela got like, or you could say Venezuela, you could say Iran, you could say Syria. Russia is like their ally, but then Russia's like, I'm kind of busy right now, like, So I think China is going that direction where they're like, I'm kind of going to stay neutral here and I'm not going to get my ass involved with this. I don't know. I just think that China slowly, obviously China benefits from the war and they benefit from the Russian side of the war. As long as Russia is waging this war, then China's benefit of it. There's no question about that. But I also think that if push comes to shove and it's like whoever's with Russia is completely done for, China is not going to be like, oh yeah, we're down with that. Like,
well, again, Russia has a huge military industrial complex demand for supply, and they're pulling those supplies from China because they really can't get it anywhere else at this point in time. So they're going to be pulling it from China. China benefits from that a lot. And if the United States starts threatening the other half, saying we're going to cut China off from imports and like, I remember talking to you about that and how it was squeezing some of the stuff you got going on as well. But doing that puts a huge hurt on China and starts making them play better. You know what I mean? So it's going to have an impact on Russia. But I think the big blow to Russia is going to be Iran. I saw that Russia was actually shipping in attack helicopters into Iran today, but I wasn't able to find multiple sources on it, just one, and it didn't feel like reporting on it, but it looked like Russia was sending attack helicopters in there.
Well, today also, it's strange a bit because today, there was some high-level accounts that shared this military officials in Germany and the United Kingdom urging every individual citizen in Europe to be ready for a potential Russian attack. And this is like accounts like open source intel and like real accounts have shared it. So I don't know what it's about, but it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that are cooking, and I just know that Russia has been getting their like butt whipped on the Ukrainian side here, like as far as ground and like equipment losses and what's it called, like men losing soldiers on the ground. It's been very, very, very brutal for them. Like the numbers is 1 to 12, and it's crazy because just this week Zelensky, I'm gonna see if I think I bookmarked it. Zelensky released an official statement, something where he said a number of soldiers that it costs Russia per square kilometer.
Oh,
and it's almost to the money. No, it's almost to the money of what we did about 6 months ago or whatever when we did this. Zelensky stated in Munich. He stated the price for Russia currently is a minimum 156 soldiers per square kilometer.
We were at like
we did that bad,
something like that.
We were between 150 and 170. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, if you really look at it, you do the math with where they're at, estimated size, about 170.
And now they're making these statements officially, like meaning like these are. So when Ukraine claims official kills, these are documented kills. Like when a drone, we see 1 or the internet sees 1 or 2%,
right,
of like released footage here in Ukraine. There's drone units that have, like, I'm talking about 100 terabyte hard drives just from the last few months. There's units that run multiple thousand FPV drone missions daily. Thousands FPV drone missions. And every one of these drones record video, get saved, and gets put on a hard drive and get sent to command. These get count for kills, and then they can receive more because Ukraine has a point system. How it works with units getting equipment like drones, more they
get more.
Yeah, it's basically, and you can't just show up and say, "Oh, we smashed 13 tanks today."
No, you got to have proof.
You have the footage. You have the footage. So all of these kills are on video kills. Like I spoke to a drone operator in Ukraine in a unit, one of the Ukrainian drone forces units. This particular person is under the age of 21, has over 500 confirmed kills on video, like not like, oh, you know, shooting a number out saying, oh, I got like X amount of kills. No, these are like recorded footage of strikes. So I think that people are just like slowly like you see it. People are busy with ICE, people are busy with this, people are busy with everything around the world. And Ukraine is just doing what it's doing. But like Zelensky made a good point, and he said, there's only so much that Ukraine is not going to be Europe's wall for forever. We're just letting you guys know. Like, this is going to come at a price to Europe, because right now the only people are paying for this is the Ukrainians and the people fighting this war. So we'll see what happens. I think that a lot of European countries are getting on board with what's happening, and we'll see what's going on. We'll see what's going to get. In the meantime, Ukraine just keeps smacking them. They keep losing equipment. They keep getting hit. You have beautiful videos of American weapon systems doing work that even the Americans didn't know that it can do. There was just this week they released a video of a single Patriot battery intercepting two Iskander-M. These missiles are quick, really quick, and they were in a salvo, meaning they were moving together, like very close to each other, and that's very difficult for any air defense system to lock on and intercept. And you have this video that Ukraine released of it doing it. Then you see videos of Ukraine utilizing the F-16 so beautifully, and these are just like one video that comes out because somebody happened to have taken this video. This obviously happens on a daily basis. Ukraine has more aerial kills with the F-16 since they got the F-16 than the F-16 has in all of combat combined.
Well, yeah, dude, it's just ghosting dudes left and right. I mean, it's just a target-rich environment. And I mean, the point being, like, when I look at this is it's not so much that Russia is a vast superior fighting force. It's just that they have more bodies to throw into the mix. And people don't understand about where that front line is and how hard it is to assault and push across. That's why Russia's got such a high body count, because they're constantly going on the offensives. That's where that 150 to 170 figure per square kilometer comes into. That's not even a square mile, ladies and gentlemen. Look into that. 1.62 kilometers per mile. Right? So like 150 to 170 bodies Russia has to take just to get 1 square kilometer. So you're talking about a huge front line. You're talking about them constantly pushing. That's a lot of dead people that are going to get stacked up over time. And so
this is also what people don't understand. That people think, oh, there's a gray zone, right? There's a red line and there's a blue line and then there's a gray zone in the middle where the fighting takes place. Yeah. With today's combat environment on the front line, based off what's happening today, and I can tell you this on personal conversations, this gray zone is 30 to 40 kilometers now. Right, exactly. So where you see on the mapping people that like Live UA map or whatever, all of these maps, when you see that red line where, oh, this is Russia occupied, there's probably 15 to 20 kilometers on each side that nobody can hold, just because you cannot move. Even if you get 20 guys past and they get him into a position in a bunker or in a trench. Now, these 20 guys, they have no way to go. They can't go back. They can't go forward. It's just because there's so many drones on both sides. Right. So, like, yeah, Ukraine took advantage of the fact that Russia didn't have Starlink for and that now they're trying to figure out other things. But Ukraine is obviously utilizing every advantage that they have. I don't know. People just forgot about the war, and they think that it's just like, oh, it is what it is now. Russia's just doing what they're doing to Ukraine, and Ukraine just has to keep doing what they're doing. It's not true. I think it got to the point where, for the first time in history, Ukraine has killed more men in 1 month than Russia can and is able to recruit.
Well,
so before
you want to know my opinion on this? Like, I'm not disputing the amount that like people are getting killed, but my opinion on it, I've got to kind of stop it right here because I'm getting beat up by attorneys right now. Yeah, I know it's one of those days. But my opinion is the reason all of that attention is being drawn away, right, is the social media influencing that's being taken from like China, Russia, and Iran. And I think what they're actually doing is they're pushing a certain narrative to keep American attention over here to try to make them think that nothing is going on over there, right? That these are the big things. And when they cause problems in the United States or they cause problems in a different portion of the world or they have political issues, we can't get legislation passed. We can't get things done. And our government gets shut down, right? And like when that happens, we're kind of SOL. Like we're kind of like stalemate, locked out, can't do anything further. And I think that's the whole reason for that is they're taking over social media. They're blasting it. And like, since I've started doing like more mainstream media interviews and crap like that, like the one thing that I've noticed is if something hits on social media, they'll immediately want you to come on and talk about it. Like they are looking, it doesn't matter if it's verified, like where it's at the time, like the moment they're like, yep, that's a thing. They need people to be on TV in that moment to talk about it. And so if they notice something's going viral, and the point being, if they notice something's going viral on social media, that's what they put on the television screen. And so if Russia and Iran are promoting crap via their bots and China are promoting certain narratives via their bots, then that's what they care about. It may very well be that more Americans care about a million other things other than the BS that is like currently taking over our TV. But because you have these freaking foreign bots that are pushing narratives across social media, or mainstream media jumps on it and then shit just gets buried. You know what I mean? That's what I think is actually happening. I don't think a lot of people have forgotten. I don't think a lot of people just don't care. I mean, I remember telling somebody one day I was deploying back to Afghanistan and they're like, we're still over there? And just my head about exploded. But I understand that sometimes it gets freaking forgot about. That's like a decade after it starts, you know? Anyways. Yeah. Dude, thank you for coming and giving your insight, brother.
No worries. Yeah, we'll chat. You go do what you got to do. I'm going to go here and do what I do.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
No worries. Cheers.
All right. Cheers, bro. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, again, before we end up signing off, I do want to thank Bravo Energy Pouches. You guys go over to bravoenergypouches.com. Get yourself these freaking caffeine pouches. They're absolutely amazing. Use code TRUTH for 10%. TRUTH for 10. Just put in TRUTH as a promo code. You're going to get 10% off your order. I promise you they're worth it. They last forever. And if you couldn't tell, I've had one in the whole time and I'm pretty freaking amped up. They're way better than drinking a cup of coffee and way better for you, in my opinion, than drinking a Monster or an energy drink or anything like that. And truthfully, they work.